bells, sweet silver bells, all seem to say, throw cares away, Christmas is here, bringing good cheer to young and old, meek and the bold. Ding dong, that is the song. Ding caroling, oh caroling. One seems to hear words of good cheer from everywhere, filling the air. Oh, how they bound, raising the sound, oh, be there. They ring while people sing songs of good cheer. Christmas is here. Ding, merry, merry, ding is the song. Ding, merry, merry, ding is the song. Ding, they sing, dong with the land. Ding, dong, dong, to every home. Dong, how the bells, sweet silver bells, all seem to say, throw cares away. Christmas is here, bringing good cheer to young and old, meek and the bold. Ding dong, that is the song. Ding dong, oh caroling. One seems to hear words of good cheer from everywhere, filling the air. Oh, how they pound, raising the sound. Oh, be there, thrilling the air. Gaily they ring while people sing songs of good cheer. Christmas is here. Ding, merry, merry, ding is the song. Ding, merry, merry, ding is the song. Ding, on they send, dong with the head. Ding, dong, dong, ding, dong, on they send, dong with the head. Their joyful tone to every home. Ding, dong, ding, dong.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Bill Wigman, and I'm president of the council. Tonight, we are gathered to take part in our 31st celebration of a treasured council tradition, where our caring community comes together to celebrate, to honor, to dedicate, and to commemorate those whose lives have been touched by addiction. You know, even though we're virtual again this year, pretty much, it's still this time and season where we find love, affection, and reflection on those that we honor, love, and commemorate. I want to share my personal thanks for all those who have worked to make tonight's event possible. Those who have donations will help others find hope and support in their recovery. The leadership and staff of the Bucks County Justice System for hosting the event, and Cordis Mundi for the music. We will share 2 awards tonight for extraordinary commitment to our work, one of which highlights volunteerism. This week, our board of directors, a group of truly dedicated volunteers, will recognize one of our long-serving board members and a key voice in tonight's Cordis Mundi, as he ends his service as our secretary after many years of dedicated service to the council. We're grateful for his leadership, his guidance, and his willingness to say yes for whatever this organization needed. And Christopher, we have this commemorative tile designed by Henry Mercer and created at the Moravian Tile Works in recognition of your extraordinary ability to us. At this time, I would like to introduce James Barry, a hospital chaplain with the Jefferson Health System, who will be given a dedication tonight.
Good evening, everybody. I'm really grateful to Jennifer for inviting me to do the opening prayer, dedication, and then a closing prayer at the end of the service. Or this is not a service, this is a dedication, it's a ceremony. I think I'm in church. Just an opening prayer. Lord, thank you for the path of recovery in which we walk. Remind us that you found us in a desperate condition, in addiction, hopelessness, and despair. You picked us up. You illuminated the path of recovery before us. We followed you a day at a time, not knowing where to go. You sent people to help us cope with our struggles, our personal losses, and the pain that brought us here. You comforted us and inspired us with a desire to help others. For it is only by means of this difficult path that we can bring others the hope of recovery. Therefore, let us remain and see this tree of hope tonight as a symbol of the life and joy in our hearts, minds, and prayers now and in the coming year. And the dedication, on this evening, December 1st, 2021, we dedicate the Tree of Hope to bring comfort to families who have lost someone to addiction, to bring compassion to families who have a loved one who still suffers with addiction, to celebrate with gratitude all of those who have found recovery, and to honor all of those who work so diligently in the field of recovery services. May our 2021 Tree of Hope bring you joy, comfort, and hope throughout this holiday season and in 2022.
Thank you very much, Jay. And now I'd like to introduce our Executive Director, Jen King. Jen?
Thank you, Bill. As always, this is quickly became one of my most meaningful events that we get to celebrate together at the council. I'm delighted to be with you tonight. I'm delighted that we're closer to typical, and many of us are gathered here. Because of COVID, we learned how to be creative. So tonight, many are also gathered at our recovery community centers in Southern Bucks, in Bristol, in Montgomery County, in Norristown, and at our RISE office in Quakertown. So my greetings to all of those gathered there as well. And many are watching virtually. As I said, the Tree of Hope is an emotional anchor for me, and I know it is for many in our community. Tonight's event coincides with the fourth night of Hanukkah, and I think about the tradition of light and the tradition of encircling those we care about, reaching out. That thread of illumination carries through all our greatest traditions. So tonight's Tree of Hope absolutely embraces that. I know that the Hanukkah traditions that many in our community are celebrating tonight also honors that, and I appreciate those who make time on this special night for them. May the bright lights that surround this celebration tonight extend the light so that darkness is diminished throughout the world. As we look at these ornaments that are chosen to honor, to remember, and to celebrate, we are all invited to be part of a larger story of hope. Each ornament tells a powerful story, and you don't get to read them all necessarily tonight, but Allison and I do, and so we wanted to share some of them, just a small selection tonight. The first I wanted to share is in memory of a long-time champion of recovery work and a dedicated volunteer for ProAct. Our community lost Alan McQuarrie this year, and his wife Kathy he and his wife Kathy helped to create many of the institutions that people rely on in their recovery today. It's immeasurable, the loss, but we certainly honor him, remember him, and celebrate him. He is, as they said on the dedication forum, forever in our hearts. Other dedications show things like remembering and celebrating. There's a story I heard this week where a family who 12 years ago was hanging an ornament in desperate fear because their daughter was in the grips of it. And now they hang that in celebration of her accomplishments and in celebration of her family, where she's pursuing the goals and dreams that she laid out. Recovery is possible. Another is Golden Angel. Alan, my guiding angel, I am continuing your fight against this disease. I will see you one day. This ornament is dedicated to my daughter, who is a star example of recovery. She's been in recovery for over 10 years and has made a very successful life for herself. Her father and I are so grateful. Shay, you are my angel and guiding star. I will love and miss you always, Grandmom. And hope. To believe anything is possible. Never give up. And as I said, these are just a small sample of the messages and inspiration that we get to kind of reflect on and be part of and honor tonight. As you likely know, the work of a nonprofit like the Council is built on the contributions of so many. People's gifts to make these ornaments happen are part of our philanthropic, caring community who help make the work that we do possible. We are very grateful to supporters, our funders, and others, and the volunteers without whom we would not be able to do a single part of our work. This past Thanksgiving, our PROACT recovery community came together on Wednesday in a way that looked like a catering center, and they assembled 84 meals that were then delivered so that people could be together virtually and have their dinners together. And those staff and volunteers created a full day of virtual programming, songs, gratitude categories, lots of different things all through the day, knowing that people who needed an option for connection on that day would be looking for it. They worked tirelessly to figure out how to make that community unity meal that has become a tradition happen virtually, and we're so grateful. I'm grateful to Bill and our board of directors, our donors and our funding organizations, our incredible staff. I'm especially grateful to Allison Washington for all she did to make this evening happen, our dedicated volunteers, and the men, women, and families who trust us to be part of their recovery journeys, to walk beside them in grief when someone is lost to this disease, and to honor and celebrate those who help and inspire hope in others along the way. For more than 45 years, the Council has been central in this work to prevent substance use disorder, to provide intervention and treatment, to build thriving recovery communities, and to champion advocacy for all the same. We don't do that work alone, though. Some of the ornaments hung tonight recognize our partners in this work. We are fortunate to have some of those partners here with us tonight. We have State Senator Steve Santasiero. We have State Representative Megan Schroeder. We have Bucks County Human Services Director Rachel Neff, who was going to be here but was here earlier to hang her ornament and is watching virtually. We have Bucks County Administrator for Behavioral Health and Developmental Programs, Donna Duffy Bell. We also have Commissioner Diane Ellis Marseglia and Diane Rosati, the Executive Director of the Commission, and you'll hear from them in just a little bit. We have Doylestown Borough Mayor Ron Strauss, Doylestown Borough President Jack O'Brien, Doylestown Borough Vice President and incoming Mayor Noni West. And we're delighted to have a video greeting from Jennifer Smith, the Secretary of Drug and Alcohol Services for Pennsylvania. We are so fortunate to have such a champion in recovery serving in that role at our state level, and are so grateful she wanted to share this message.
Good evening. I'm Jen Smith, Secretary for Pennsylvania's Department of Drug and Alcohol Programs. I'm honored to be a part of this year's dedication ceremony and such a beloved tradition. Please know that I'm with you all in spirit. Here at the department, we strive every day to expand access to treatment, to strengthen prevention efforts, and to promote recovery. Our goal is to improve the lives of those affected by substance use disorder, because we know that with the right resources and strong support, recovery is not only possible, it's probable. We as a collective community have an obligation to come together and support our loved ones, friends, and fellow neighbors. After all, recovery is based on community, creating a support system that's available to lift each other up, a support system that will carry our loved ones both to and through the journey of recovery. Having a tree of hope for more than 30 years is a testament to your own sense of community, resiliency, and a reminder that no one ever walks on the road to recovery alone. Over the years, thousands of ornaments and personalized messages have adorned the trees of hope. Messages of remembrance and messages of celebration. To those who have lost a loved one to the disease of addiction, you have my deepest sympathies, and you'll be held in my thoughts throughout this season. To those who are celebrating a life saved, may you stand proud and continue to spread the messages of hope, ensuring that anyone who is struggling with substance use disorder right now is worthy of help and entitled to recovery. The evergreen, standing tall in the grip of winter, is one of nature's marvels. Its strength is in its survival, weathering the toughest of challenges. And when it's lit, it's a universal symbol of life and hope, a light from the darkness of life's challenges. You are all so strong and resilient. May you find promise in the warm glow of this year's Tree of Hope and receive the gifts of comfort, peace, and community that's connected among its branches. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We're grateful for that message from Secretary Smith. We're also very grateful to Commissioner Diane Ellis Marseglia for being with us here tonight, but more importantly for her unending support that we receive from our Bucks County Commissioners, but also that they provide their deep understanding of substance use disorder, of what it will take to address this from a systemic community level. Not every community gets to take for granted what we do here, in that our leaders understand it, they support the efforts, and they invest in the strategies that will help make this, help us address and make recovery possible for all. Commissioner Marseglia, thank you.
Well, good evening. But before I read the proclamation, I just wanted to thank you for letting me be here. I am so glad to be here live, or at least this year, some of us are here live. Last year, we weren't able to be here for this important event, something that I consider to be actually a sacred event. But I was very proud that the recovery community still found a way to get together last year, because it's important that we do this every year. But I feel like because we're all here tonight, confident that next year we will all be here, that everybody will be back, and we really need to be together next year. And frankly, that's partly because there is one community that has really struggled, albeit silently and stoically, during this pandemic, and that's the recovery community. The pandemic did not stop addictions. In fact, in some ways it was more stressful, and there was isolation, and that may have led to more addictive behaviors. Our treatment centers struggled trying to get employees that could come in, as well as managing protocols that limited the amount of patients they could take for treatment. And the lifeblood of recovery, 12-step meetings that have been relegated to the basements of many churches, suddenly had only cell phones and computer screens. And any friend of Bill will tell you that that's not the easiest way to help people work the steps and get the support they need, but the recovery community in Bucks County did it without complaint and with a great deal of creativity in their recovery. I am so proud that we did walk through these months together, and that those of you who have held on to your recovery did so, and you helped others sustain theirs. And I reach out to those people who lost their sobriety during this pandemic, and I say, welcome back, keep coming back as we enter a year of rejuvenation and return. But I also reach out to those of you with my outstretched arms to hold you up, those of you who lost family and friends to the ravages of addiction during the pandemic. We understand that searing pain, we feel the break in your hearts, and we mourn with you as you also remember the good times. And as we rejuvenate and bring ourselves back to a full community and a full recovery community, I want you to know that the Bucks County Drug and Alcohol Commission and the commissioners have not stopped working on recovery. We have continued and tried to bolster programs that we know work, like Drug Court, the Hope and Heart program in our jail, embracing medication-assisted treatment, doing drug take-back programs, Narcan distribution, quality oversight of our recovery houses. We've tried to increase treatment through BPAIR, through peer support in hospitals, through co-responders that are now embedded in some police departments, and the county's hub information office. We are trying to implement as best we can data reviews to show us what treatment is needed and how we can best reach out to the community. And so whereas each year this Council of Southeast Pennsylvania jointly presents the Tree of Hope with PROACT, Pennsylvania's recovery organization achieving community together in honor of the entire recovery community. Whereas each year the Tree of Hope provides a meaningful opportunity for community members to celebrate the power of recovery and each individual's recovery story, commemorate those who have lost lives to addiction, and dedicate Rays of Hope to mentors, family members, and supporters of recovery. And whereas the dedication ceremony will be broadcast right now on December 1st, the Tree of Hope is going to remain prominently displayed in the Bucks County Justice Center throughout the remainder of the year to send this message. Long-term recovery is possible, and everyone can play a role in creating a recovery-oriented community. And so now, therefore, do I, on behalf of the Bucks County Board of Commissioners, hereby proclaim the Tree of Hope as Bucks County's official beacon of light and hope for the members of our community of recovery from the disease of addiction. And I thank you for allowing me to do that.
Thank you so much, Commissioner, and please extend our thanks to Commissioner Harvey and Commissioner DiGirolamo as well. Next, we welcome Diane Rosati, the Executive Director of the Bucks County Drug and Alcohol Commission. We're so deeply appreciative of her leadership and her role in our county's response to the impact of substance use disorder, the overdose epidemic we faced, and her vision for a community where recovery is possible and accessible for all. Diane, thank you for being here and welcome.
Thank you so much, Jen. And so, good evening, everyone. My message is one of gratitude, is one of hope, and is one of commitment. And so I'm here tonight to give thanks to our county leadership. You heard some fantastic summaries of the projects that are occurring in Bucks County from Commissioner Marseglia, and this is a regime or a leadership team in Bucks County that we've not experienced in the past. Such commitment from the heart and from the soul, and such leadership that we so appreciate. So thanks to the county commissioners and to all of our legislators. The gratitude is really extended to the council, though, and the council is when we have fundings and projects available and challenges, and we have many, as you know, the council is always first at the table, first to volunteer, and under Jen's leadership, and certainly Bill's through the board, is always at the table with us, and we so appreciate their work. So thanks to Jen and to Bill and Noni, and congratulations to Chris, who I've known for 30 years, in his fantastic work, beginning with HIV/AIDS project. So thank you, Chris, for your commitment, and we enjoy hearing you and your group every year. The hope is for a hope of folks who are able to establish long-term recovery in our community, and at the Drug and Alcohol Commission, regardless of whether or not someone has health insurance or not, or knows how to access services, or thinks they have barriers, our commitment and our hope is to offer services for every resident of Bucks County. We have a long way to go, though, and so the other part of our mission is a commitment, and it's a commitment to continue to think more, not only out of the box, but to bring new services into our community, to offer services that some hadn't considered would be coming to Bucks County, to expand our provider network. Over this past year, we've expanded our provider network by 20 providers, not just in Bucks County, but outside of our county. So we know we have need, and what we're counting on is every one of you to help us to identify those needs. So we provide a message of commitment to the Bucks County community. So thank you so much. What a pleasure to be here to honor the Tree of Hope. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Diane. Tonight, in this season of celebration, where the messages are often of unrelenting joy, we use tonight's ceremony to create space for remembrance, for honoring the pain that is a measure of the love we felt for those lost, and for peace for all in a season of hope. These shortened days with early darkness allows us that space, and these trees can become a beacon of that message of hope. The shared experiences we have had in the past year and a half demanded more from each of us, including each of the organizations that we work together with. Challenged staff, challenged partners, challenged participants in truly unprecedented ways. But they also encouraged us to grow, to be creative, to reach out in new ways. And those are the gifts that I hope we all carry forward with us. And they are certainly part of what we want to honor here tonight. We know that there are many paths to recovery, and along each of those paths, many partners play a role. Thank you to those individuals and organizations who will participate in tonight's Tree of Hope, and to those we participate with every year. We recognize and honor the support and advocacy of other organizations, including treatment providers, the police, the mobile response, our hospital partners. It truly is a connected web of people reaching out to address this, that I will say my predecessor, Bev Haverly, our partners nationally, 30 years ago when this Tree of Hope was such an innovative tradition, they would have dreamed of this network. They would have dreamed of the fact that there's a challenge to hire peers because it's a competitive role and job. They would have dreamed of that network of care and hope. And we know that that is just a gift that we are grateful for. It's also our custom to recognize those who have been rays of hope and helped others in their recovery. We'd like to celebrate tonight a family who have found a way to turn immeasurable loss and the grief that they experienced when losing their son and brother into work that has helped hundreds of other people in what they call Close the Gap and removing potential barriers to accessing help. Please welcome Julie Smith, the president of David's New Day.
Hi, everyone here and everyone virtually. Thank you, Jen, for this, and thank you to the council for holding such a beautiful annual event that we've attended now many years, and for allowing us all time to celebrate those in recovery, support those struggling, in our case, remember those we have lost to the disease of addiction. As Jen said, I'm Julie Smith, president of David's New Day. We are a nonprofit organization formed 8 years ago in memory of my little brother, David Ramsey, who passed from an overdose in March of 2013. The road we traveled as a family after David's passing was definitely not an easy one, and many days still feel just like the first day. But our story of how we came about is one of love, the love we have for David, one of hope, and setting aside our sadness to help others. And because of our nonprofit, and because it's named after my brother, I get to say his name out loud nearly every day, which is an honor and a privilege many don't get. Underneath David's addiction, there was a good person, someone that saw how wonderful life could be, but that reality was just always slightly out of grasp. Someone who dreamt of a future that was happy and peaceful and didn't involve the constant potholes he would fall into along the way. Someone that could learn to eventually forgive himself and give himself grace for his past. And at 30 years old, his life was only beginning. He was a father to a 3-year-old named Russ. He carried Russ in his arms so often that we would joke as a family that Russ will never learn to walk. He had visions of a wedding to his fiancée, his best friend, his partner, whom he had dated for years. He had a future filled with hopes and dreams. His presence was much too big, and his life was way too full to let go with his passing. In the early days of his loss, I would turn my head to the sky often and count the time since I had last seen him. I would say, David, it's been 2 days, it's been a week, a month, a Christmas. The pain of his loss was palpable, and I knew way too heavy of a load to carry forever. That's when I recall thinking, we need to do something with this. We can't just let this be. And if we can't change what happened to our family, we can do everything possible to ensure others get to live full lives with their loved ones. And we can make sure that those struggling know there's hope and that someone truly cares. And that's when David's New Day was formed. The name of our organization comes from one of the last conversations my husband had with David. Always free with his emotions, David expressed how guilt-ridden he was over the things he had done. Pat told him not to focus on that, move past it, and concentrate on having a good day today and build off of that. And before he would even know it, life would be what he wanted it to be. It would be a new day. And our goal through this organization is to give individuals the ability to see a new day for themselves as well. Since our inception, we've helped over 600 people with recovery support services. We help people directly as well through a grant with the council, which is a partnership we value so much. We close the gap when someone leaves treatment and fun things like recovery house rent, clothing and toiletries, outpatient treatment copays, medication costs, and transportation costs. Our mission is to spread awareness and hope in the face of addiction, and we hold true to that mission every day by supporting numerous requests daily. I read a quote that resonated with me and why we do this. It said, and I'm paraphrasing here, "No one is truly gone until the ripples they cause in the world die away. David's new day is David's legacy, and our work allows him to live on in the hearts and minds of those he continues to touch every day." Thank you so much.
Next is our Tom Nelson Award. An early leader of PROACT, Tom Nelson strove to create an organization that would advocate for the recovery community. We've dedicated a special award in his honor to recognize an individual whose volunteer service has been inspirational and instrumental in our mission of care. I'm going to invite Noni West, our public policy specialist, to introduce this year's recipient. Noni?
So the Tom Nelson Award acknowledges an individual who exemplifies outstanding volunteerism. One of the joys of my working with the Council and PROACT is the opportunity to work with people who step forward for advocacy and fight for issues that affect recovery. This year, it's our pleasure to honor Helen Bradford with the Tom Nelson Award. Helen has been a member of the Advocacy Leadership Program since 2016. Now, Helen is one of those strong, silent types. She's quiet, she shows up, and she contributes without fanfare. She's critical to producing our Recovery Voices Counts, which is a voter guide that publishes candidate responses to recovery-focused questions. She's a member of Angels in Motion and delivers essentials to individuals in the streets of Kensington. She organizes the blessing bags at the Southern Bucks Recovery Center. And just recently, she testified before the Philadelphia City Council on issues facing the recovery community. Helen is respected and loved by all of us at PROACT, and I am sure by many others. So Helen, you want to come forward?
Okay. I'm not good at these speeches, but I'm going to do my best. Speak from the heart, but I put it on paper because I know me, I will jumble around. I'm really, truly humbled to accept this recognition from PROACT and the Council of Southeastern Pennsylvania. And I know that advocacy and volunteerism is a big part of what Tom Nelson meant to those who knew and loved him. As Noni has already kindly spoke about my volunteer work with PROACT and Angels in Motion, I'm so grateful and lucky to be a part of the teams that PROACT presents. The Vision team and the Advocacy Leadership team. And I'm present here on behalf of so many that contributed towards my commitment, which Jen and Noni, all of the PROACT people, Gary, Elizabeth, Lena, I could go on with names, past, present, and future, or past and present. members of PROACT and all of the teams and employees. I do what I do for the betterment of my son, Brian. Brian couldn't be present tonight. He gets home from treatment on Saturday again. So we're still fighting the fight, and as long as he's with us, he can continue to do that, and we will be here to support him. My heart goes out to all of you, everyone, those who have a loved one affected by substance use disorder, and those who have lost, especially anyone who has lost a loved one because they don't have a chance anymore, and that I just can't imagine. I thanks my daughter and my granddaughter who came to see me tonight, because every time they hear me say, I need this and I need that, I always need their help, especially at the blessing bag events with notes and packing them up, and they always stepped up to the plate. So January 2014 was the first Narcan event with my son, Brian, at home. I didn't even know that such a drug existed at that time. Several years prior, we practiced a tough love, put our son out, and he just roamed from place to place and sometimes slept in our shed in our yard. We didn't know it. And to tell you the truth, that really just led him to more wrongdoings, some of them with legal implications. So going forward, I set foot in the door of PROACT, September 2015, for Narcan training. I didn't know what PROACT was besides a space for that event, and I forgot them with me, but I still have my training papers all folded up from that night, and actually the little glass bottles of Narcan that was given. I returned later that month to ride the bus to the first recovery walk in September. And my son happened to be in a recovery house at that time, and he was volunteering. And as we walked through the recovery walk, I actually met him at the corner of 4th Street, and Tierley met him on the corner of 4th Street. And that picture I have in my purse over there, and otherwise it's with my Narcan instructions from 2015, which I left on my desk at home. But I do have, so then go on to December 7th, 2016, I went to a Lower Bucks Hospital Narcan training event, of which I met Andrea Bernick, and we became friends. We connected, exchanged contact information, and I had to ask her because I didn't remember, but at that night she said that I gave her a pamphlet, a flyer for this ALP meeting at PROACT. And so it was for January 2016, no, 2017, I guess, and we both came and started the ALP meeting, which is the Advocacy Leadership Program, and I've been there ever since. At that night, or I guess the flyer, let's see, Andrea had to step out of the vision team and the Advocacy Leadership Program due to time constraints involving a complicated medical overdose with her son. So let's fast forward again to Thanksgiving Day, PROACT. We had a game, different game days, and I was on the Zoom thing, and we had some A to Z thing where we had to pick words that came into our minds. I picked Advocacy, I said, okay, I'm ready with A, advocacy. So that's what I wanted to talk about. Advocacy is not complaining. It's about looking at the situation, finding out if it doesn't seem right, and speaking about and finding a path to make it better. Addiction is a mental health, and there are medical conditions and are not always treated as such. Access to treatment, finding ways to keep someone's loved one alive until admission to treatment, treatment options, recovery housing, all forms of medical assisted treatment, both in the community and all forms in our own Bucks County jail system, and support into life after jail and the long-term lasting effects of criminal records to obtain housing. Language matters. Before you see someone as a drug addict, see them as someone's child, someone's loved one who has a substance use disorder. My heart goes out to everyone who has a loved one that suffers with a use disorder. I'm sure you've heard the latest annual number of 100,000, and all I can say is not one more. Faith, capable of moving mountains. Believe without a question. Brave is having the strength to stand up over and over again and the courage to face the fear. Hope to believe anything is possible, the only thing stronger than fear. Besides PROACT and the council, Noni had mentioned Angels in Motion. And I started with them in August of 2015. And one thing that Carol, who started Angels in Motion, had given to me is a paper with this on it. It's called Faith Over Fear. I declare I will choose faith over fear. I will meditate on what's positive and what's good about my situation. I will use my energy not to worry, but to believe. Fear has no part in my life, except for today. I will not dwell on negative or discouraging thoughts. My mind is set on what God says about me. I know His plan for me is success, victory, and abundance. This is my declaration. I'm sorry if I left anything out or said too much of the same thing, but, and I take this, I accept this on behalf of everyone. It's not just me. It's all the employees of the council, the county, all the moms, dads, sisters, and brothers who have lost or have someone in recovery or trying to attain recovery. I have all three. So, all right, thank you very much for coming.
So next, I'd like to invite Pam Lewis to reflect on why we selected this year's Ambassador of Recovery, which recognizes an individual in long-term recovery. Pam?
Good evening, everyone. I'm an employee with PROACT. It'll be almost a year, December 9th, and it's a dream come true. I always wanted to work in this field. I'm a long-time in recovery, and tonight I'm here to introduce someone that's a success story, and he's going to share his story with you guys. Thank you. Nathan Rule.
Good evening, everyone. It's an honor to be here at this ceremony. I'm standing here today because recovery is possible. I'm a person that does have a substance use disorder, but I'm also a person of recovery too. So probably dating back about 2 years ago, my life was a mess. I couldn't get it together. I tried every way but the right way. I couldn't possibly figure out how to do things the right way because I never eliminated doing things the wrong way. So I got really tired of just living a vicious cycle of jails and institutions. In the program of NA that I work, they talk about 3 things: jails, institutions, and death. So the third thing, death, was the only thing that I was missing, and I knew I didn't want to die. I've lost a lot of friends from this disease, and it's hard. It's hard living a life of active substance use disorder, and I had to get to the point myself where I had enough. I got tired of hurting my friends, hurting my family, and just not really living up to my true potential. I always knew I had it in me, but I didn't know how to live sober and clean. I didn't. I was afraid. So in 2019, when I finally decided I had enough, I got into a program called Drug Court. I'm in Montgomery County Drug Court. Program saved my life. It absolutely changed my life. For a person like me, I needed structure in my life. I thrive off of structure. But it was with the resources in that program that allowed me to really start thriving. My time in drug court has not been smooth sailing. I did have setbacks. Relapse is a part of my story. But I can say that I'm standing here today because I never gave up. I've had individuals that believed in me, and throughout my time in drug court, I've learned to believe in myself. I moved into phase 5 yesterday. I graduate in 2.5 months. But seriously, without the support that I found through getting into a program like that, that's how I got involved with PROACT with Pam Lewis, was through a drug court. Working with the people at PROACT really was instrumental in helping me change my life, reach my goals, get the structure back that I needed in my life because I needed support. I had all the support around me, but I wasn't utilizing it. Just too often we suffer in silence alone. Because the guilt and shame, it just keeps us down, and like we know the help's there, but I know myself, I didn't think that I was good enough to use it or get it. But once I was really able to just get honest about where I was and the life I didn't want to live anymore, utilizing the support became easy. But I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for just getting involved with PROACT, getting into the drug court, getting involved back in the Narcotics Anonymous, getting a sponsor, a home group, learning accountability, all those things. And so that's it. I got my life back. My story's pretty clear, but it wasn't without struggle, but I never gave up on myself because I had the support in my life that never gave up on me. I'm eternally grateful for that, and I'm absolutely honored to be standing here right now. Thank you.
So thank you, Nathan. Take this off. And can we all just spend a moment in silence and gratitude? And now, at this time, those who want to commemorate their own or someone else's recovery may come forward and place their ornaments on the tree.
You are the new day, new day, new day. I will love you more than me and more than yesterday. If you can but prove to me you are the new day. Send the sun in time for dawn. Let the birds of heaven morning. Love of life will urge me, say, you are the new day. When I lay me down at night, knowing we must end, thoughts occur that this night might stay yesterday. Thoughts that we as humans small could so worlds and end in all. Lie around me when they fall before the new day. One more day when time is running out for everyone. Like a breath I knew would come, I reach for a new day. Hope is my philosophy, just needs days in which to be. Love of life beats up for me, born on a new day. You are the new day.
In this season of holiday celebrations, bright lights, and merry tidings, there are many for whom it can be a season of loss or grief and remembrance of those who have been lost to addiction. We create space for those feelings, and it is an important part of our Tree of Hope, and that is why this tradition has become so meaningful to the community. This year, we've asked Amy McGarren to help us in commemorating lives lost. Please join me in welcoming Amy. And I believe Matt is joining as well.
I did prepare something written. This is the first time I'm actually speaking. But I do want to say, as I was sitting here, I had texted Jamie's best friend about a week ago, and I hadn't heard from him, and I was getting a little concerned, and while I was sitting here, I got about 4 texts from him. So I'll look forward to reading those texts when I'm done with you today. I'm Amy, and my son Jamie passed away last December from an accidental fentanyl overdose. Since his passing, I have connected with many amazing and courageous people who share a similar journey. We share stories, we talk honestly. We rally, we advocate, we write letters. We deliver food and blankets. We open our hearts to those who are struggling. Today we honor those successfully achieving recovery. We share hope and compassion for those struggling. We remember our children, partners, siblings, and friends that have lost their lives to substance use disorder. We need to share our stories. We need to work together for better outcomes. We need hope. I'm asking you to tell your story and to advocate for a better healthcare system that includes mental health care and compassion and care for substance use disorder. We can't wait. Too many are struggling and dying. I honor my son Amy today and every day. Please join me to honor, support, and hope for our families, our friends, our community.
Thank you, Amy. And please know that all of our heart is with you and your family, and you have our deepest condolences as you remember Jamie tonight. At this time, we'd like to have a moment of remembrance, and then those who would like to hang their ornaments on the tree in memory of someone lost may do so. And at this time, we'd also like to make space to dedicate hope for those still struggling and to recognize persons who have helped them in their recovery and those working in the field. So for those who would like to recognize someone still struggling, you may now hang that ornament on the tree. Well, I'm struck by how perfectly art can sometimes match the moment. Make them hear you. Tell your story. Nathan, you did that for us tonight. Amy, you did that for us tonight. Helen, you've done that for us for years. The power of someone's story. Julie and your family have done that for years. To say, this is true. This is what I faced. This is what I could use for help. That's the recovery community. And we have a song. I did not know we had a song, but thank you, Cordis Monday, because that absolutely is exactly what is needed and what tonight helps us encapsulate. I'm going to ask Jay to come forward and lead us in the recovery prayer. Then we'll hear one more time from Cordis Monday, and then we'll say goodnight. But please know that I carry your stories with me. I'm honored that I've been called to this work and get to do that with you. I'm grateful for every person who's joined us here in Bucks County's Justice Center or across our centers or virtually in their homes. I wish you peace and I wish you comfort in the coming weeks of this season. Jay, I'm going to call you forward. I'll say one of the threads as he's a chaplain in one of the hospitals where we're part of the Warm Handoff program. So we have that connection with him. I'm grateful for him for coming tonight, and I'm going to invite him to lead us in the recovery prayer.
Thanks, Jen. Jen did say, Jay, why don't you say something about yourself? But I think the most important thing I could tell you just briefly is about the Warm Handoff program. And if you don't know anything about this, try to imagine that you're in an emergency room and you've been there many times, and you have people with white coats and in scrubs looking at you, and it may not seem kind. It might seem like I've seen you before, and I know why you're here. You don't have to tell me who you are. I know who you are. The Warm Handoff program is something that's to counteract that, where you have a person come into that room and say, I have lived experience with recovery. I am in recovery myself, and I'm here to connect with you. I'm here to help you through the clinical process that's going to help you get better now and also in the future to find a path of recovery. That's Warm Handoff. As a person in recovery myself, I got sober in 1984. It's a long story, but I came into chaplaincy and worked at Jefferson, and now we have a CRS, a Certified Recovery Specialist program, serving our Center City campus of 1,000 beds, and then our Methodist campus down there in South Philly with another 150 beds. I've seen it myself. I'm embedded in the nursing department, and I've seen it myself. When you say to a patient who is very, very depressed, very down, and you say, I'm in recovery. I understand what you're going through. Can we talk about it? I've seen people actually sit up and say, oh my God, I can't believe that. That's amazing, really? Because they're not used to be treating that way. That's what the Warm Handoff means. And it's happening. Is that a light of hope? That's a big light of hope. And I see it every day. We see the struggles too with the certified recovery specialists I work with. But the truth is there is hope out there. I came in here not knowing anybody. Now I feel like I'm among colleagues, brothers and sisters and friends, so thank you for all. Let's just read the recovery prayer together. It starts with the words, God of all. God of all, we give you thanks that we are not alone. We celebrate those today whose experiences provide hope for others. We give you thanks that you give us one another to walk with. We renew our commitment that no one who loses their life to an addiction dies in vain. Guide and protect those individuals and institutions that provide care and treatment to the addicted. May we seek to give others as much support and hope as we receive from them. Amen.
Saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found. Was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace